my name is Ashley with Ashley's Reads on Twitter or of Fiction and Fantasy on Instagram and TikTok. And today I am here to bring you a one book April current reads, a May TBR, and an announcement video for my friend's readathon. So let's see how quick I can make that. Every time that I film this video, it's like once a month and I get all nervous all over again because I feel like I'm out of practice, so bear with me. My current reads, only one of them is not already a May book, which is amazing for me. So I will just talk briefly about this book. I am reading Jade Fire Gold. That's totally backwards. Nope, okay. I'm reading Jade Fire Gold by Joan C.L. Tan, and this book is, it was marketed to me a couple of years ago as a Zuko and Katara retelling, or inspired by Zuko and Katara, which was like my favorite ship that wasn't a ship as a child. So I was really excited to read this book, and my first thought was that the main character does not really remind me of Katara, even though the romantic interest does kind of remind me of Zuko. So I was a little disappointed at first, but I'm not sure where I even heard that this was like a Zutara retelling. Like, was that just a review or was that marketing? Was it the author? I have no idea. But when I put that aside, I was like, okay, I really, really like this book. So this is probably my favorite of all of my reads so far, but I'm barely into my other reads yet. So next up, I'm going to tell you about a readathon that I am participating in as a team co-captain in, when is it? June. It's the first 2 weeks of June. I don't generally take part in readathons in June, so this is the only one I'm doing, and I'm really excited about that because there's not really a strict TBR or anything like that, and Lizzie has done really fun things with the prompts. So here we go. This is the Ancient Wonders Readathon, and you should be seeing this on May 15th, so it will be happening a little over 2 weeks from now. Okay, I saw the red books here. I thought it was a low battery sign. Okay. So this is a cool readathon that is hosted by Lizzie at Lizzie's Literary Life. Woo! This is a team-based strategy readathon based on ancient civilizations and inspired loosely on the game Civilization and the board game Seven Wonders. I have not played Civ and I have not played the game Seven Wonders, so I am not an expert on any of these things, but I am very interested in playing both of them. The idea is that we are building our city to become the dominant empire or civilization in the world by developing each aspect of our culture, government, and military. So this will take place from June 3rd through the 18th or the 18th. These are 4 teams. There are 4 teams and there are 4 different ways to earn points. So if you're setting a TBR for this or if you're mood reading, the team matters. So all of these teams and the genres and graphs are explained in detail in Lizzie's announcement video, I believe, and I will link that below. Okay, so I am the captain of Team Ephesus and my co-captain is Danielle. I want to say at Danielle's Reads, but that may be completely wrong. I will link her below as well. I'm super thankful to have a co-captain because I may be in the middle of a move. Okay, so I am the team captain of Team Ephesus, and our genre is for religion points is fantasy, and our military bonus is for building the Temple of Artemis. So we have a chart here that shows how you can earn points. Team Ephesus has a military prompt board, and you can earn military points by filling in this bingo board. But the catch of it all is that this is not your individual TBR. You don't need to read all of these, what is that, 5 by 5, so 24, because you don't have the free space. So 24 prompts, you don't have to read all of those. This is for your entire team. So like if I'm reading books, it will go onto this. So say I read a book with an air element, like that book by Elise Kova that has air in the titles. It's like Elementals. If I read that, then I could mark in that spot like right here. I'm not sure. And then you could read a book that's set in summer, and then on the same bingo board, you're going to submit your book and I will put a color there so that we already have 2 points for a bingo. And then someone else could read a retelling and we are 3/5 of the way to a bingo. And so on. I have asked as many theoretical questions as possible about the prompts and the board. So if you have any questions, you can ask them to me in the Discord and I would be happy to either answer myself or tag Lizzie for help. There will be a lot of strategizing going on over on the Discord, so you should definitely join us over there. Updates will be given on the Discord as well, so I definitely recommend joining that if you have Discord and like to use it. What else? Again, below I have linked Lizzie's announcement video, or I will link it prior to this video coming out, and I will link everyone else's as well once they are up. The Google Drive that is also linked in my description will have a bunch of frequently asked questions with answers and like in-depth zoomed in versions of this bingo board and the points that we can earn throughout the 15 days that the readathon is going on. And I have also linked the official sign-up form, so you should join us. Hey, editor Ashley here. I just wanted to come on really fast and say that I am editing in information about the readathon because I misunderstood something in the point system and I do not want to spread misinformation. So the creator of this readathon is Lizzie, and I would highly recommend watching her video in order to learn more about the point system in the readathon. There are many different ways that you can earn points, but one of them is genre specific, and for that one, my team, Team Ephesus, that I am running with Danielle, the genre for earning points in that specific aspect of the readathon is fantasy, so that will be important for the readathon. And the other genres are literary fiction with Ruby for Team Rhodes, mystery thriller with Martine for Giza, and romance with Bailey for Team Babylon. So if you aren't a fantasy reader, I would recommend maybe checking out their teams, but otherwise we would be really happy to have you in Team Ephesus. I think that's all that I missed, so thanks guys. And now we're gonna back up from June and I'm gonna tell you the books that I am reading or hoping to read in May. Whew. So in May, I am taking part in the May the Fours Read With You readathon hosted by Eric at Break Even Books. I am taking part in the Asian readathon. I'm not sure who the hosts are because I only know through Twitter, because I only follow the account through Twitter. And then the third one is Desertathon hosted by Esme at Paradise and Pages, and my team is Team Merchant hosted by Marion at Lucifer's Library. I think I said all of those names correctly, but I'll put them below just in case. Okay, let me get to the May TBR. Okay, so I have tried to triple up all of my books to work for every single readathon, and so I earned 12 books this month for 12 books for May. So my first book, oh, I have this one, hold on. Ooh. Okay. So my first book, I finished it last night. I feel so bad. Okay, this is Strike the Zither by Joan He. I read this book, I requested a review copy of this book, so disclaimer, the publisher Roaring Book Press did give me a review copy last autumn and I did not get to read it until it was out, so I got a library copy. I requested this book because I gave 4.5 stars, so rounded up to 5, to The Ones We Were Meant to Find, which is like a a climate change sci-fi book. It was so all over the place, and the plot twists were like, what the frick just happened? So I thought the plot twists were so wild, and I like wanted to throw my book across the room, and I thought, wow, this is incredible how well thought out this is. And then I read this book. And this one felt like it was all over the place and the plot twist made me think, what the frick? But in a way that was like, there was no thought put into this. So this is book 1 in a duology. It follows Zither, who is some sort of like military strategist. She's an 18-year-old orphan, and I don't really know what else I could say about this book that's not like a spoiler. I think it's in the synopsis that she infiltrates the enemy camp. But this is really a case of your like first person main character YA book where it's very tell and not show. It's very much the main character like, I am the best strategist in the entire land. I am so much smarter than everyone else. And then you don't actually really see that. All of the solutions are super vague. Anytime she's like really intelligent, it's incredibly vague. It was really hard. I basically binge skimmed the last half of this book last night and I fell asleep like 10 times reading the epilogue. So I will not be continuing this. 1 star. There's so much about this book that is just like referencing farts. It felt like it was very much a middle grade book and not a young adult book. Like one of the leaders and one of the war strategists, they're like 14 and 15. It's a lot. So because this one was 1 star and because her other book that I read was almost 5 stars, I am going to try Descendant of the Crane, which is a completely separate to both of the books I've read novel, and it's her debut novel. And I'm gonna do that as my final test. And that book met Precognition for May the Force Read With You. That is, I had to roll a d4 and I had to read 1 book of my choice. So I picked that one because I was really excited for it. And then the second one, it met 4 prompts for Asian Readathon. It was an Asian author, friendship between 2 Asian characters, focus on identity or self-discovery, and going on an adventure. And then it also met Shrine for the Desertathon, so beautiful cover. And I will give it that. I may not have enjoyed anything that I read in that book, but I did really like the cover. Okay, I'm gonna tell you 2 of the worst things in the books, and they're huge, they're spoilers, so go ahead and skip ahead like 30 seconds if you don't want to hear this. But one part is when we find out that the whole time she was really a god and not a human, and she was put in a human's body because she made a bet with another god about who could have the largest fart clouds, and they killed a bunch of people with them. And the second one is that the love interest is like dying of consumption the entire time, and she kisses him at some point in the book, and it should be like a cute moment, but he pulls away and is like, but the consumption. This should not have been written after 2020. All I could think was how disgusting it was every time he coughed. Okay, I'm moving on. Okay, so the second I read this for the Asian Readathon, and here we go. Because it met the prompt, main character is a hot mess, or famous, because one of the main characters, he is the Caliph, and he is a monster, and I guess he's known for killing his brides, and she wants to be his bride, so that's kind of hot mess for me, because like it says in the synopsis that she might fall for him. That's a huge hot mess. So I am reading The Wrath and the Dawn by Renée Ahdieh. I may be mispronouncing that, I'm sorry. This meets the prompt Sunfall and Desertathon because it's desert themed, and this is also one of Esme's books. I have told her I would read this for the past 3 Desertathons, and I have finally started it. I have read the dedication so far, but and the math. Okay, it also meets Telekinesis because it is a book that I stole from someone else's TBR because someone else is reading it for Desertathon. So yes, I really don't know anything else about this book except, again, she, I think, is purposefully trying to be a bride of this evil caliph because she vows to stop his reign of terror. So I think maybe she plans on offing him, but I don't think it will go that way. So I think it's a romance. Okay, the next book that I am reading, which I'm like 20% of the way into, is Beach Read by Emily Henry. I am reading this for my own book club, the Unfinished Book Club that I run with Marion, and this is our May book of the month. And this follows Battle Meditation, which is a 5-star prediction, and also Oasis for the Desertathon, which is a book that is a comfort read because I think I will love reading this. It's not as comforting as I thought because there's a lot of references to terminal illness, which I generally avoid, but it's like references to something that happened in the past. So I'm still managing to read it okay. Yeah, it basically is about these two characters who were college rivals, or at least from the female main character's perspective they were. And he is like a literary writer. It kind of gives me like Jughead Jones vibes. And she is like a rom-com women's fiction author. And so they don't get along. They kind of clash over these things. And they both end up living, at least temporarily, in beach houses next door to each other. I think that the plot is that they agree to write books for one another because they both have writer's block. So like he'll write the women's fiction book and she will write the like serious literary fiction. I think that's the point, but I'm not sure. I'm only 20% in. Okay, the next one that I'm reading is Jade War by Fonda Lee. This is book 2 in, thinking about it. Yeah, there we go. This is book 2 in the Jade City trilogy. These are very chunky books, but I really, really enjoy reading them. I think I gave book 1 4.5 stars. And this one is Force Empathy, a buddy read, because I'm reading this with the Atlantis Book Club. And Ruins with the Desertathon. That prompt is mythology or lore, and this does have, I believe that people likened this to a mix of Chinese mythology and Hong Kong, but I believe that the author came back and said that this is based on Asia in general and not to use any specific country in comparison. So I believe it is based on Asian mythology for some parts of it, and like how people think that they have powers that they get from these jade stones. Some of them, people who are jade users, view it in like a more of a religious way, like they think that the gods bless them with the stones. So it's very interesting. It's also like originally there used to be one clan, but now they're rival clans who have split up despite their ancestors' wishes, and they are out to destroy one another, but there are a bunch of larger opposing sides outside of their nation. So I think that they will, in this book or the next book, have to finally come back together. I'm so excited to see how that happens. But really liking this. This is my predicted best book for May, but it could be beach read. It's very hard whether fantasy or contemporary wins out for me. Okay, I think that, yes. Okay, and then my next one, Lore Olympus, Volume 1 by Rachel Smythe. This one I picked because it was one of from Becca and the Book's favorite books of 2021, and so I was doing a challenge to pick 5 books off of her favorite books. This is one of them. I'm doing this challenge I made up very late. And I'm doing this for Force Barrier, and read a book that is a different format than usual. So this one is a graphic novel that is based on a webtoon, and so I don't read graphic novels almost ever. I don't read graphic novels almost ever, so I thought that was a good prompt for this one. And it is also the Bazaar for the Desertathon, and that one is a quick read, and so it does look a little chunky, but almost all of the pages are like a few sentences, so I think it will also be a quick read. I believe this is a Hades and Persephone modern retelling in an urban fantasy setting, or maybe just urban. I'm not sure if there's fantasy. Whew. That was book 5. Book 6 is Little Women by Louisa May Alcott. The prompts are doppelganger, to reread a book. I figured I would reread it because it is a 12 and 12 challenge book, I think by Martine. And I gave it 3 stars in high school. I didn't really like it. And I just read a retelling and I hated it. So I just want to see, I could DNF it, but I'm curious as an adult now whether or not I would like the book. And then regardless, I will go watch the movie that has Florence Pugh in it. So yes. Oh, it's also Dig Site. And that is Dig Up an Old Book. I do not know the exact year that Little Women was published, but it could definitely be considered an old book. Okay, book 7. The Lost Causes by, I think it's Alyssa Embree Schwartz. This is a book pick from a long time ago with the Shelf This Book Club that is run by Bailey at Is Bailey Reading. And this is the Wasteland prompt, which is to read a book outside of my comfort zone. I think it's a YA thriller, and I'm not really into thrillers. I don't generally read YA unless it's fantasy, and it's like high fantasy, so the age doesn't matter as much to me. So I'm very intrigued on what I will think of this one. I don't know anything about it except that it involves outcast and maybe a crime. Okay, that's all of the prompts, and I was reading almost no arcs and almost no sequels, so I had to add some of those on. I've added House of Marion. I believe the author is Jade Lee, and I have just added this to my currently reading, so I have an arc. I received this from Penguin Teen, I want to say, so thank you to Penguin Teen. This one, I believe, involves betrayal, ball gowns, decadence, and academia vibes. I feel like I have that in my head from the blurb that they sent me. But I'm really excited, and I can't remember specifically what the book is about, but I will find out, I guess, tonight when I start it. Next is Bright Ruined Things by Samantha Cohoe. I'm going from memory here, so I'm very sorry if that's wrong. I don't know the publisher's name, so thank you to the publisher for a review copy here. You guys know I really will always give my honest opinion regardless of if it's a review copy. Is my oldest arc in receiving, not in publishing, if that makes sense. It's the oldest arc I've received. So it came out in February of last year, and it is a 1920s retelling of something Shakespearean, I think, but I don't know that it's something that I've read. So it's not rated super well, so I think I have been putting it off because the pre-release reviews were not great, but hopefully I like it. The next one is I have this. I used a random number generator and picked one of my sequels, and I got The Dragon Reborn by Robert Jordan, which is a really thick book. I think it's book 3 in the Wheel of Time series. So yeah, I am not super looking forward to reading this because book 2 is kind of trash. So, but I am going to try and get through this to get to the Brandon Sanderson books. I'm just curious. I want to do it in this order. I'm a completionist. Please don't go in the comments or message me or tell me what Brandon Sanderson book I should start with instead, or that I can skip X books. You guys have told me so many times. Please just let me read this in the order I want to read it in. Okay, thank you. Okay, the next one is another sequel. So I put either The Red Pyramid by Riordan. It's a series I never finished, and I can't remember if it's because I moved or when I was in high school or if I didn't like it. So I'm gonna give the first one a try again, but in the graphic novel this time. Or Thomas's First Memory of the Flare, which is a novella in the Maze Runner series by, is that James Dashner? It's like a few pages long, and I'll probably read it and then read the last book. I'm not really attached to it. I might just DNF the series. It's been like almost 10 years. And then finally, Ruin and Rising, the sequel. This is another sequel. This is book 3 in the Shadow and Bone trilogy. I want to read this because I'm halfway through season 2 in Shadow and Bone on Netflix, and I don't want to keep going until I have read this book, because if you've been here or have been listening, I am a completionist. I have to read the book first, unless I didn't know it was a book until after I saw the film. So, want to do that. And then, there's a few on there that I think that I could really end up DNFing, and I am already on book 5. So, the most anticipated book on my TBR right now, Fourth Wing. This is not on my May TBR. It is the first book on my June TBR, and I probably won't be back to show you my June TBR until I've already started or finished this. But if I DNF enough books, I will definitely start this one. If you are on Instagram or like anywhere right now, this is really trending. I normally never fall for like, oh, this book is so popular on TikTok, you need it. But one of my friends got an arc of this. It is a new imprint of Entangled, which is called Red Tower. I think it's Red Tower Publishing, so it's new adult, I think new adult fantasy. And I am intrigued. I have not had great luck with new adult. I cannot think of any new adult books that I have read and loved. So, but I would love to. It's a genre I feel like in theory could be good if it was like college aged main characters, more in depth maybe than YA. I don't mean that in a way that means like YA is not good in any way at all. I just mean sometimes adult fantasy is so in depth that it's too much, like it's a little unnecessary. I would like something a little bit in the middle, and this is apparently a very fast-paced read, and it is based on a fantastical military academy where they ride dragons, and I think it's also enemies to lovers slow burn. So if that's all true, this could in theory be my ideal book, and everyone I've talked to has given this 5 stars on Goodreads, and I have found one 4-star read of it that said it was your typical new adult fantasy, which sounds great to me because ideally that's what I would like. So I'm really excited, and I hope I can get to this. It also has this beautiful map, and I am a sucker for maps. So those are all of my books. Those are the readathons I am participating in May and June, and I am now going to eat my leftover Popeyes. And what else am I gonna do? Do yoga and hopefully spring clean a little more while I wait to find out when the movers are coming. So assuming the government debt ceiling does not affect my move, but it's fine. So I'm really excited for everything this summer, and my best friend is coming in 2 weeks, so I would love to film with her because she's also a reader and the reason I started doing bookish social media. But I also feel like I'll be so excited to have her here that I'll forget to film, so we'll see. But I'm really excited, and I hope you guys are having a great end of the spring. That feels odd to say. And let me know what the books are that you're reading in May that you have loved or that you're currently reading. I will talk to you guys maybe in mid-June, maybe in August.